Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud
and David Lauer,
with the Invasion of the Champions episode 1 and episode 2.
Yep.
They say these are 2 different episodes, even though really it's just
2-hour episode.
Yeah, it's really one full mega episode because the first part has the mission and then the second part has the elimination. You know. So, to me, that's kind of concerning. I mean, not to start it off on a sour note already, but I'm like, what? I hope the rest of the season isn't like Rivals 3, where it, like, remember, everything was cut into 2.
I think that's what they were trying to avoid with this, was we'll get everything in it, and it won't be cut off, because you could do it in a manner where you do the mission and elimination, and then you go on from there and do a lot more story, and then it just stops.
Well, I mean, speaking of story, I guess it's more of an emphasis on characterization. This really focused on the people. You know what I mean?
Since it was an introduction of a lot of people we haven't seen before. Yeah,
and the only reason why I didn't enjoy it 100%, like I probably would have had I not had a podcast discussing the biographies of these characters, because this is basically, I'm like, I already know this, and so do our listeners actually, because like they're like, yeah, we know that Dario is trying to be in realty, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
we already know
and
that
it's not really working out that well.
Yeah, and we already know that
Tony has a couple kids on the way.
Exactly, like we already knew all this stuff. And that was what these 2 big episodes were for, telling us all this information. So I'm like, oh my God, I ruined this for myself. And for you, and for anyone else who listened to our previous podcast. We already know the backstories, and that's what this whole thing was. There's a pretty decent mission in there, in part 1. And in part 2, there's a pretty sweet elimination. But everything else is shit that we're like, oh my God, we were kind of told this on the MTV page. You know, we already know that Corey's going to get romantically entangled. We already know that Kayla is going to be singled out for doing whatever. That already happened in this episode. Well, that was, you don't remember our previous podcast. Oh. But, like, we discussed all this. So, when I was watching it, I'm like, I'm waiting for it to sweep me up and, like, get me invested. But what it was doing was...
It was laying a foundation, introducing a lot of these new characters, and even though like those biographies that they put on their page, it did seem like we just saw that put out on the screen, like them saying it themselves. Yeah. We saw a lot of encounters, like we'll get into the episode. I think we should just start.
Yeah.
And we'll see like when these characters are just talking about their life, where they came from, and we kind of like knew a lot of that stuff about these people.
Yeah.
And we just saw it kind of play out through different conversations with people. Some encounters that people have, and like how they know each other in the past as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that whole thing that I was talking about, like how I ruined it for myself and the listeners. There's a lot of people who are like, we don't fucking listen to you ever until now. We're giving you a chance right now, and you're just talking about like how, I saw it all coming and shit. No, get to the fucking episode. All right, we'll get to the episode. It's called Gimme Shelter.
Gimme Shelter.
And
which
the
is
shelter,
an awesome Rolling Stones song. Gimme Shelter.
Yeah, but the fucking actual shelter, it's grody. It looks like it's burnt. There's pallets all over the place.
Yeah. They don't have much furniture at all.
No.
This seems like they're laying on the floor most of the time, right?
Yeah. It doesn't look good. In fact, it almost doesn't even look, what do you call it? Promotional. You know what I mean?
Oh,
did they ever show how awful this place was in the trailers?
No,
because you can't sell a show like that. Like, look at how horrible this is, unless it's like an episode of Hoarders. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
but they were kind of pushing it that way. Like, you're going to start off in, a bad place, and you got to work your way in. Like, we knew that, and we were kind of trying to guess how bad it would be. So I liked it. I thought it was a good reveal that they show it only on this episode. You had to tune in to see it because we knew they were going to live in squalor. We didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
And this shelter that they have,
that
shelter,
was squalor.
It wasn't totally even indoors. You're always kind of like there's giant openings in the ceiling and in the like the front doors and just around it. It's kind of just some stakes with some tin around it in certain areas. And then for furniture, you just kind of like dirt and some wooden stuff to sit on.
It was worse than the island's
it was
little encampment.
The island even had furniture in it. This place didn't really have furniture.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was grody. There was even a wild dog on the premises.
Yeah, that was weird. There was just a stray dog. They didn't. I don't know. It was looking for food apparently.
So bypassing all the introductions and stuff, TJ finally does show up, and what he says is of very little consequence, or like he reveals little to me or to anyone else. He says, hey, guess what? You're going to be here. It's not going to be as easy as you thought. This is the toughest ever, and you will eventually get out of here, the Oasis, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was saying
isn't your permanent residence.
It was going to be the hardest challenge, though, that you've ever gone through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're making it the hardest one ever.
Yeah.
But then he kind of flips it, and he's like, but if you make it, you'll get to the Oasis. You know?
Yeah.
But he did make it seem like this is going to be the biggest challenge yet. They're all like the challengers. They're the people who have never quite won.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, well, first of all, I pointed this out to you later on after we watched it. I'm like, did he ever say or call them underdogs? Which again is the promotional aspect of it, where I'm going in here assuming that the promotional material that we watched and talked about is going to transfer to the episode, but no, he never actually says you guys are underdogs, and he never ever says the title of the challenge.
That was weird. Him not saying the title of the challenge, calling it Invasion.
Did he call it Invasion?
I don't think he did.
Yeah, I think he was just like, welcome to the challenge. This is very hard and shit like that.
He's like, this is going to be the toughest one yet, and he never actually revealed that. Which was strange, because that's usually what you always do.
Yeah.
But I guess they're just going for a big reveal, and hopefully it's going to happen in the third episode, or second episode.
I think what it is that everyone is so upset about the shelter, the squalor, where all they heard was like, hey, guess what? If you win, you get to go to a place called the Oasis. And everyone was like, awesome! But they forgot that they were like, hey, how about the money that we will win? How about that? You know? How about the fact that there's no title? And like, did he say that this was overall an individual challenge? Did he ever really say that? I think they were just blinded by the fact that they were like, this place blows. Let's go somewhere. It seems like
it was implied that it was everyone for themselves, because once we get to the mission and what you have to do, it was like, okay.
Oh, really? It
was kind of just, he didn't mention it here, but it was kind of, once you got to that point, then it was like, okay, that was kind of the reveal in that segment.
Okay, so after that, TJ just kind of leaves, and there's no solid foundation put to them. They're just like, okay, well, we've never won. The champions aren't here. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think, like, during this time, like, even before this, there was a lot of intros for all the new people. Yeah. We're seeing them get off the boat, go into the squalor, or the shelter, and, like, I liked how the intros are really quick, and they're kind of to the point, and I'm like, okay, this is good. I'm like, they're just cutting to people, they're having them say a quick something, and then they're moving on. And then they get to, like, Shane, and Shane starts talking, and he's like, I got dumped after 11 years.
No, he wasn't dumped, he was divorced.
Or divorced, yeah, because he was one of the first guys to ever get married in South Carolina.
Wherever, yeah.
Yeah.
But 11 years, all of a sudden, divorced.
And he's, like, very emotional, and he's teary-eyed, and it was like, whoa. Okay, like, now we're just, like, revealing, like, their backstory, like, everything that's going on with them.
Yeah, that's true. That wasn't on the website for us to read about.
Yeah.
He never once said, hey, I'm championing for the LGBTQ community. Yeah, he never once mentioned that. He was just like, listen, man, my fucking husband divorced me after 11 years, and I didn't even know we had problems.
That's
what does
crazy.
that mean? Does that mean
is he not
Shane,
very aware?
Yeah, exactly. Shane,
he's not aware of his own surroundings.
His husband's like, listen, Shane, you never fucking listen to me. I don't feel like you take. I feel like you take me for granted. And Shane's like, suck my dick. It's like, what else is there to do? I'm so bored with you. And he's like, the husband's like, yeah, exactly. You're bored with me.
You think he got bored with him?
Yeah.
Shane couldn't keep up, with any new tricks.
No. But no, I mean, I don't mean to make belittle this at all. But yeah, he was totally fucking hurt by that, and I'm like, holy shit, you know, that's 11 years of marriage. I must have been pretty recent too.
Yeah. And it seems like, he got dumped, and then he had an opportunity to be in a challenge, and it seems like he might be single and ready to mingle, perhaps.
Yeah.
Right?
Kind of like Nicole,
yes.
who shows up. She's just like, you know, my fucking girlfriend. No, my girlfriend gave me an ultimatum. It's either the challenge or it's me, and I chose the challenge, she says.
Yeah. And why would a girlfriend give her an ultimatum like that? Like, did she not trust her? Maybe her girlfriend, Nicole's girlfriend, thought, I can't trust Nicole to go on the challenge and not cheat on me.
Yeah?
Is that why she gave her an ultimatum?
You know, maybe. I mean, we haven't really seen Nicole get with any other women or men, so.
But possibly, I don't know. It could be, like, implied in the underlying story.
Yeah, maybe.
Because she got an ultimatum to come there. She, like, okay. Like, so she was ready to get rid of Nicole. Like, it seemed like, if you're willing to do that, you're probably like, good, I hope they choose that.
Oh, really? So when Nicole says she's the one that missed out, no, it's actually Nicole that missed out on her fine
because
ass.
I like Nicole, her personality this episode, it's not very likable.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't like her at all.
You know, dipping into spoilers, I do enjoy a champion or a person that wins.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she does win the mission. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. But there are some other parts where I'm like, come on, man.
Petty arguments that are going nowhere.
Petty? You think they're petty? We'll get into that later. Let's keep going. So while all these people are getting introduced, these challengers, or actually, you wanted to call them chumps. You kept on saying that. It was like a Freudian slip. You kept on saying, like, you keep on showing us chumps. I want to see the champs. And all you got to see was interspliced footage of the champs. Self-recorded, right? They have a camera maybe or a selfie stick, right?
Yep. And they kind of talk about themselves a little bit.
Yeah, it's interspliced throughout. First of all, how did you feel about that? Were you disappointed, I assume?
By this time of the episode, I was like, when are we going to actually get to see the champs? Like, is it going to be the second episode, or is it going to be in this episode? I was just like, okay, when are we going to see them? And I'm like, I'm seeing this. What? Are you talking about the time when they showed all the champs?
Yeah, like, because right now they'll start showing randomly. They're like, back in America, and then it shows CT Zach, all the people that we love.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Ashley, all of a sudden, being a badass.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
like,
we get to see
shit.
I remember this part.
Yeah.
Yeah. They showed all the girls, and then they showed all the guys.
Yeah.
And they all looked really good. They had, like, Darrell. It's like he's got kids now, but he's a personal trainer or whatever. He's still in good shape.
Yeah.
And we see Bananas. He has like a house that he bought with Sarah's money.
And he says so. He's like, this is the house that I bought with the money that that Sarah won me or whatever. And to me, I was like, that's unnecessary. You did not have to say that. You know, like, someone else could have brought up the fact that Johnny Bananas fucking, you know, stole money from Sarah. Or Bananas could have approached it differently, saying like, yeah, there's a lot of controversy over the decision that I made, but I said, I don't know how many more challenges I have left, and I got to look out for me. I need to look out for my future. You know, but instead he's like, Sarah bought me a house, and I fucked her over. Isn't this hilarious? So I guess
I think in Banana's mind, what he was thinking, like trying to get inside his head, is that maybe he's like, I'm gonna say I screwed her over, but it's okay because it's helping me by getting a house with it. Yeah. He wanted to have something to show for it, where he's just like, okay, it's gonna be good publicity for me if it looks like, hey, I put it towards something. You know, I didn't just blow it all in like a weekend in Vegas or something like that.
Oh, really?
You know?
Okay, all right.
So he's trying to promote himself as like a conscientious guy. He's like, I fucked her over for her money, but I'm going to buy a house with it. So, you know, I was really about my future, man.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Because Johnny just wants to have a way to spin stuff to make him look and feel better about himself.
Yeah. He's always spinning shit to make himself look better. He's always trying to pimp out the newest season. He's like, Sarah, I'm going to take your money because, you know, I need shelter. Give me shelter. It all ties in.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, anyways, they're also showing shit like Zach. I was like, oh my god, let me get won over by Zach. But what does he say? I'm gonna return because I gotta make the challenge great again.
Yeah, it was super short.
Must you reference "Make America Great Again" by saying "Make the challenge great again"? I'm like, you're a prick. Like, I don't like him still. I still don't like him.
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I think he's likable.
Do you think he's Zach saying it ironically, or do you really think he's like, yeah, man, we're gonna make Trump? I'm right with you, bro.
No, I think it's his sense of humor.
Bro. No, I don't think it is.
It's his sense of humor.
I mean, was it funny? Yeah, but like I also felt that he meant it.
Oh, wow. So, because you're on the other side of the political spectrum, you're offended by this? That he brings up that he's on this side? I feel like maybe there'll be someone else who will stand up on the other side of equality.
All right.
Because if it's guys voting and girls and stuff, we'll get into that.
Well, I'm curious on who I'm going to feel the burn for on these other, who's going to hopefully take down Zach. Trump Zach, if you will.
Okay.
Who is going to Trump Zach? Yeah, there you go.
Not Hillary or Bernie.
So I want to see the Bernie of the challenge. Who's that going to be? Dario? He's had some political experiences. Sure, he fucked up, but he's got some experience.
He's botched a few things in the past.
Yeah.
He screwed over Rafi.
And who is that comparable to? Bernie or Hillary? You know what I mean?
Bernie by backing Hillary at one point. Who saw that coming? I was pissed. Bernie said he would never back her, and then he totally did. It still didn't work.
Okay, well, we'll be looking out to see who is who in the challenge, roughly translated. Yeah. Maybe it's going to be Tony and Nicole or some shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're getting completely lost. All right, but speaking of Tony, back at the shelter, Tony makes a toast. It's like out with the old and in with the new. And it's great because what we're gonna watch now is what the challenge could truly be, where it's like, no, we're not gonna have the same old people here over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
The challenge back in the day, the old seasons, they never had people repeat all the time. They would freshen up the cast, because sometimes seeing the same people over and over again creates the same stale storylines.
That's true.
And with this, we're going to see new people emerge and take on greater roles, like Nelson.
That is
Nelson
a great hot
Tony.
take, because a lot of guys step up and they perform in ways we haven't seen them. And Nelson was definitely one of them.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we saw a side of his personality that I didn't really care for.
But, okay, I mean, you might not care for it, but he has truly stepped up in that role that it has been vacant. Because
I didn't see that part of him at all. He was so quiet last year.
Yeah.
He always kept his mouth shut. He was a rookie.
Yeah.
And now I think he got a little taste of it, and he's like, okay, now I'm going to use my mouth, and this is going to be another tool for me. And he was being brash, and he was just saying what he wanted to about other guys, and he's like, he didn't care.
And we'll see. He's going to be very effective. He's going to hold political sway.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. So, anyways, let's forget the champs are even here at all. Because it's like, what the fuck? What is this? You're not seeing them so far. You're just seeing them walk around. So, anyways, the underdogs or the challengers or whatever.
Yeah, the challengers, and they're showing more intro stuff with some of the cast, and they show Bruno, and Bruno tells his story. We get introduced to him, and he's talking about how he's living out of his Jeep, and he's been homeless, and Corey's on the beach, and wasn't Tony crying on the beach? Or not Tony, but Bruno was crying on the beach.
He was,
and Corey was like, well, I don't know. He was really into telling his story, and Corey's trying to comfort him and being a nice guy and be like, hey man, that really sucks. Not a lot of people can go through that.
Yeah, Corey's actually kind of cool. This is the first time we're bringing him up, really. He's actually going to be around the entire episode, but just being a friend to this person or a possible boyfriend for Kayla and shit like that, He's kind of all over the place. He's also in discussions with Nelson where I think Nelson says he, sure, winning the money would be great, but he wants the respect. He wants to become the legacy of the challenge. And I'm like, holy shit. A lot of the times when you see a challenger on the show, admit that this is a TV show and that he wants to be part of it, you get people like Evan, you get people like Frank, you know, that they're kind of meta because they watch the show. They know the moves to make. And I like that. Like, Nelson just kept on saying all this shit where I'm like, oh, man.
Didn't Nelson say that he downloaded apps on his phone?
Yeah.
To do different puzzles, to, like, understand puzzles better, to get better at the challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's why Nelson, to me, I mean, he gets a gold star, you know, at least for the men part, because, like, he's admitted that, like, no, I'm glad I'm here. I'm going to make the most of it.
He's definitely one of the most entertaining guys who's there.
Yeah.
That's a guy who's coming back. Because there's basically, there's Nelson, there's a lot of Tony this episode, and Corey.
And it's great that Nelson chooses Tony as his opponent, because those are two very big personalities in this episode. Mm-hmm. What builds a person up in your mind? Sometimes it's a nice rivalry to have.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool, this episode. Speaking of Tony, though, it's not the same Tony, almost, because he's sober this time. He doesn't drink.
Yeah, he says he's drinking orange juice for the toast.
Yeah.
And, okay, he's drinking orange juice, and then after they do the toast with Tony, Tony's doing it kind of like Bananas always steals the toast. But this time, they're passing the torch to Tony. I'm sure he was prompted to do this.
Prompted?
Yeah, by the producers. They're like, come on, Tony, you should do it.
I think people naturally form these societies. It's like Lord of the Flies. Okay. You know what I mean?
So Tony was smart enough to do that. This was planned out by Tony. It wasn't him being whispered in his ear.
Yeah. No, like I'm saying, it's a natural thing for people to form these things. Nelson is naturally going to form this mammoth alliance and be called Team Nelson. There's going to be Team Nelson and Team Tony / Team Skeletons later on. I just feel like this is a natural thing that people form. Again, Lord of the Flies. The whole theory was like, if you take a bunch of kids, they will naturally form a society.
There's a hierarchy.
There's a pecking order.
Yeah.
Did you know what a pecking order is, real quick?
I think so. I think
it's a literal. I think it's a literal chicken pecking order. Like, the one pecks you can't pick him. So you're like, who's lower than me, and I'll peck you. And you know what I mean?
It's a dominance thing from top to bottom. And it's
I never knew that. I never knew what the pecking order meant. Literally,
it's like the top of the list to the bottom. And if you're on the bottom, you're the last one to try and get after. You know, if they put some grain on the ground, those chickens are gonna go up, start pecking at it. Like, because they're mean, they're ferocious. They'll go after each other.
Okay.
What are we talking about?
Ferocious, going after each other. Perfect segue to the mission of the episode, Over Under.
Okay, yeah.
TJ says, he's like, listen, this is the very first mission, and we'll have one male winner, one female winner. Those two will punch their ticket into the Oasis.
Yep.
Which sounds awesome. And then last guy and last girl, they're automatically into elimination.
I thought this seemed kind of light. I thought maybe they should have done, top two get to go on and bottom two. Like, make it, like, more than just two winners that get to go in. Make it 4 people who get to go in.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So,
because it seems like it's going to take a long time if you're just going to have one at a time, one guy and one girl getting to move on. Like, this could take weeks and weeks of the shelter.
But you still get those other 2 winners, right? Or no, that's right. Yeah, I get
you do get the winners of the elimination round.
No, I get what you're saying now. You want double that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I want this to be over quickly and just move on to the game where everyone is there, all the cast.
So overall, you're not really enjoying, like, after seeing these 2 episodes or whatever, you're still like, no, let's get to the Oasis already.
I want to see the real game.
Right.
With all the competitors.
Yeah.
And we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah. Okay, but at Over Under, you first have to climb up this huge-ass wall. It's really tall.
Yep,
and then
you get buckets to dig dirt with.
Yeah, and you have to try and form piles and stuff. But this is an individual mission.
Yep.
That's the interesting part. But after that, though, you have to dig under the second wall and then untangle this big, what is it, like a weight, a dumbbell almost?
Yeah, it's like a kettlebell.
Yeah, kettlebell.
Yep.
Through
this giant rope that's a couple inches in diameter.
But the ropes also entangle with like other people's ropes around these big poles and shit.
Yeah, there's just like a giant post and they have it all wrapped around.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's very confusing because I don't know.
I don't know. It seemed like in order to get that weight all the way through, you needed to get a lot of slack and just be able to like move that rope around. But if you weren't good at untangling things, you're gonna have a lot of trouble. So like you gotta. It's almost kind of like a puzzle thing, like untangling knots. It's kind of problem solving.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've felt certain ways about puzzles where not everyone has the same puzzle. I feel like everyone's knots should have been exactly the same.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And from what I can tell, it wasn't. I might be wrong. I didn't just pause it and like really look, but I really don't think it was.
I didn't notice that when I watched it, but I'm not surprised, I guess.
Okay, so now the mission begins, and immediately Tony gets some people around him and says, hey, we're all friends here. We all know each other. Let's just form a pile and work together, and we'll get up just like that.
Rather than have every single person make their own wall to climb, let's just work together.
Yeah, their own pile to climb. And yeah, I agree. But what actually happens is, apparently, without speaking to each other, the rest of the group work together to form that hill. You know what I mean? And then they start looking at Tony and Jenna, Bruno, Corey, and Kayla, and they're just like, what the fuck? I thought we were all going to work together. But there was actually no communication between anyone. Because eventually Tony's going to be like, hey, Nicole, you come and help us. We're skeletons, you know? He's like, I thought it was an unspoken thing. The thing is, everyone did not communicate. They just...
Some of the people were like, I didn't know we had to pick sides here.
Yeah.
Like Sylvia, I think it was. She didn't want to, like, I just want to go ahead and just do the thing.
Yeah.
But it was like, once one side started to, like, build a pile, rather than everyone work towards that one, they're like, well, it makes sense. Everyone will get over if you do two separate piles, rather than everyone wait in line to get up one. So it kind of makes sense. So it seemed kind of natural that they would pick two different sides. But it was like immediately, it was like the politics of the game. Like, which side you join in? Do you want to go this side or this side?
Yeah. Very small group for Team Tony. Only 5 of them compared to the rest of them. So, but this naturally happens. And eventually, I think Ashley, Smashly Ashley, she gets across the wall first.
Yep.
And immediately, she doesn't stay on top of the wall to help out. She just climbs down and goes to the second wall to start digging.
It's individual. Like, it's a race. So it's almost kind of smart.
Yeah, but, like, don't you understand how people were mad at her? Saying,
yeah,
like, what the fuck?
They're like, we were working as a team.
Yeah.
But she kind of conned them, you know? She's like, hey, just let me up first, and I don't know if she said she'd help or not. I'm guessing someone had to have told her to do that, and she's just like, whatever. It was kind of smart and wily. It was kind of a little underhanded. I liked it. I like Ashley. She's just trying to go for it and get the win.
Yeah, that's fine. But to me, the whole idea that they form this team to get over what is essentially an individual race, to me, says... Obviously, there's going to be an order in which you guys ascend. You're not all going to go at like 3 at a time or 2 at a time.
They always, like, people have to volunteer themselves or campaign for themselves and be like, hey, I'm going first. And there's that, pecking order like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Where certain people are just being nice and standing to the side and be like, yeah, we'll help you. And then hopefully I'll be next. But then if you don't stand up for yourself, maybe you'll never get picked. Yeah,
it's just truly bizarre overall because there are 2 groups, yet it's an individual challenge. I don't know, very bizarre. But now, finally, Tony's team gets over the wall. They're helping each other. Except Corey. Corey's actually struggling a little bit. He's the last person up there.
Yeah,
he's trying to run.
He took one for the team.
Yeah, Corey can't get up there. So he's like, he goes up to the other pile, and he's like, hey, Nelson, Theo, come on. I mean, can you help me up your guys's? Can I take your guys's hill, even though I was working against you in a way?
Yeah.
And Nelson's got a soft spot for Corey because like they're friends, and he's like, all right, yeah, fuck it.
Were they on the same season together?
No. They I think they just kind of had a bond on this island and shit.
Yeah.
Corey and
because they were together last year on Rivals 3.
Yeah, that's right.
So they must have been pretty good friends.
So Theo's at the bottom and he helps Corey up. and they just work together like that.
That was interesting because they could have just been like, no, back of the line. You were from the other side. You're the last guy. You're voted off.
Yeah, they
were nice about it.
Okay, so now it's on to the digging portion, and I think who gets through that first? Ashley again, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think she did that first.
Again, but there's only 2 holes overall. You know, it's like team. It's so weird. I think that's the most weird way. To me, it didn't feel like an individual challenge at all.
To me, it was kind of like who got the first in order right off the bat, and then if you had that, then you were good.
Yeah.
But those people who were towards the end there, those
They
last
stayed
people, yeah, you had no chance.
Yeah.
It was just like a weird kind of like voting thing, almost like the pecking order. They kind of just got in line, and the people who got first, they're good. They're golden in this.
They get to the rope puzzle portion, those dumbbells or whatever through the rope. And this actually, me personally, this rope puzzle challenge looked very strenuous, very difficult. Yeah. Because the mud, again, we didn't even mention this, but the mud that they were using was like this clay.
Yeah.
And they were able to create almost a statue.
That's heavy
to
stuff.
Climb up.
That's not like light sand would be lighter, but like it would obviously just fall down in the grains. That stuff is packed together.
Yeah. And people were like just like tiring from just scraping at their fingers.
It seemed like it was a lot about cardio. I was thinking that as I'm watching it. I'm like, people are getting exhausted fast. You have to like, I'm like, I like stuff where they're really getting exhausted while they're doing it. I'm like, that's a sign of a good thing.
Yeah, exhausted, very dirty. This red clay that's all over them. Yeah, so at the rope puzzle, eventually Nicole is the winner. The very first chick, she wins automatically. I'm like, oh shit, she's the cop, you know, the one.
She's big and strong. Or, well, I don't know if she's big, but she's really strong. She's ripped. She's totally jacked.
Oh, yeah. And then for the guys, Dario. Like, he wins, and I'm like, wait a minute. Why am I not too excited about this? Oh, yeah, because the last time we saw Dario win, he used his power for such an odd cause.
Yeah.
You know? It was disappointing.
He jumped ship on his alliance and voted the other way.
Yeah, we're talking about Rivals 3. That's when he...
Like, Dario has the stink on him from that last year.
Maybe that's why I didn't enjoy his win quite
so
as much.
I'm looking at Dario and I'm just like, oh, really?
Yeah. I'm like, fuck
and
it
he's
up
like,
already.
well, we're just all challengers now, so I get a pretty good shot at this or whatever. I'm going to run everything. And it's like, Dario, you're not smart enough to do any of that.
Well, I mean...
But he is a good athletic competitor.
Yeah.
Like, he's fast and he's strong. And, like, in this, he got over fast enough. He did that politicking game. And he's strong enough, and he does have cardio. Like, the digging thing, when it was him versus Bananas to dig out your partner from the grave.
Shit, yeah.
He beat Bananas. Like, he's big and strong, and, like, he's fast and stuff. This
digger.
is Dario's kind of thing. It's down and dirty. That's what he's good at.
Yeah,
so we do have to give him props for, like, Dario's a legit good competitor as much as we don't like his politicking game.
Yeah. If he had a nickname in the UFC, it'd be like the Groundhog. Dario. What's his last name? I don't remember.
I don't think he has a last name.
Okay.
Not on this show.
Well, anyways, so yeah, Dario fucking wins, and I am glad about that because I do like him overall. But I just didn't feel the same like rush of like, yeah, man, win again. This is the very first episode. That's awesome, and it's really awesome for Nicole. She's a goddamn rookie, and she fucking won.
Yeah, that was impressive. It seemed very like Evelyn-esque.
Yeah,
where she was a very strong competitor like Evelyn. However, I will say Evelyn has a much more pleasant personality,
accent,
Yes.
Yeah, holy shit. I mean, you know, I don't want to piss off. Oh, like, where is she from? New York?
Boston, I thought.
Boston?
I don't know.
Oh,
somewhere out
probably
there.
the dirtiest part of Boston. Yeah, you fuck. I was like, what are you talking about? Like,
she's an ex-cop, and she, you know.
No, she's a current cop.
Or a current cop,
But she's an ex.
Yeah.
Girlfriend. Girlfriend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's pretty fiery, and she's just getting into it.
Oh, yeah. And she'll try and break it up, as in what happens here after Bruno gets it. Would you say that?
Well, yeah, he was struggling a lot, and he was just, like, making excuses. He's like, you wouldn't be able to do it either. And it was like, dude, like, he just couldn't untangle the stuff. And he just kind of gave up on it.
Well, he said, like, you know, Tony just kind of took off. Like, we were all helping each other, and then Tony takes off. And that's the fucked up part about this whole mission. Is that it's a team until it doesn't have to be a team mission.
Yeah, as it goes on, you're in it for yourself.
Yeah. And
you have to step up and realize that.
They should have called this, like, the pyramid... Like the mission, this mission wasn't even called anything. Was it? No, wait, it was called something.
Over under or something.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm getting at here, but no.
And when you're untangling knots, that's over under as well.
Yeah, over under. Okay, so anyways, Bruno, he pretty much quits. He's in last place. He's going directly into elimination, and then Marie, on the girls' side, she's last.
Yeah. She couldn't get her fat butt through the hole under.
Come on.
She seemed like she was stuck.
You mean PHAT, of course.
Yes.
Right. So
she's got
TJ,
some juicy thighs. She couldn't get him through.
We're at the end of this episode, or part 1 or whatever, and TJ says, "Hey, congratulations, Dario and Nicole. You guys are going to the Oasis. However, not yet. You have to wait until all the spots are filled to go to the Oasis." And everyone's like, "Oh," you know, and Dario's like, "What the fuck? I wanted to go to the house."
He thought, he's
like
I'm going to go drink some whatever and have a good time.
Yeah.
I'm headed for paradise right now, but it's like, nope, you got to hang around.
Yeah, and then I realized, like, that's the other reason why I didn't feel anything for Dario winning this, is because what did he get? He doesn't get any political power. He doesn't get to vote in anyone in particular.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And then he's still living with everyone else in squalor.
He's, you know, technically he, like, has immunity or whatever, like, he's moving on.
Right.
But
he still
the
has
fact
to live
that
in
he's
that piece
still
of shit.
there,
yeah,
and, like, he doesn't get to actually go there now, they're just, like, stalling with him.
And,
you know, like, anyone else who wins down the line, they're just as good as Dario. Like, okay, yeah, me and Dario are gonna show up at the house at the same time.
Right.
It's not like Dario can get into the house first, make some alliances with the champs, and then, like, have a political advantage. Because... Could you imagine, like, Tony getting in there first, too? Like, you'd be able to, like, Tony can get some alliances going with some guys, and then once the other people start coming in, you start picking them off.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even see it that way. But,
well,
we
don't get that.
That's the end of the episode, part 1.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was like, okay, well, we didn't get to see an elimination. I had some Rivals 3 flashbacks in my mind. I'm like, oh, God, no, it's never going to end how you want it to be or how an actual episode should end, you know.
I was thinking it was going to, though. I was thinking about the time, and I was like, okay, they should be able to show it. I know they're going to show at least one guy getting eliminated. I'm like, maybe they don't show a girl or something like that.
Well,
but we ended up seeing both a guy and a girl get eliminated, and I was happy about that we got to see that.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in the next part, but for now,
That's
stop
episode
this.
2.
Oh, yeah. All right, so episode 2... day 1, same day, same night, you know. But part 2, skeletal fracture. Totally telegraphing what's going to happen in this episode overall, if you think about it.
They're going to smash us over the heads until our brains crack.
No. Real world skeleton, that alliance is not going to work out.
That's also true.
So when they're building up to, like, what's Sylvia going to vote for, you know? Yeah. Obviously it has to be against Tony, you know. Otherwise they're like, okay, good, you sent Theo in like we wanted you to, you know. But no, Tony's gonna be sent in. It's telegraphed, like I said.
I didn't think it was that telegraphed.
No,
like, it was an option, but I didn't think she would do it because it wasn't that smart of a move.
Oh, okay. I was just going by
me from title. Like a smart play is like, Tony's a strong player, he's probably gonna win a lot of these. You don't want to get on his bad side. You pick the less experienced player, who is Theo.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that. It was Nelson talked to Sylvia and said, "Listen, if you don't send in Tony, we're just gonna send in all of you guys in, and you're all gonna be done. All the skeleton people." So Sylvia's like, "I wasn't even on that little pile of dirt with them. I was with you guys, everyone else, you know." But so again, this is Nelson becoming a political figure where he specifically overturns this vote. This
yeah,
defining
like
vote.
Nelson got really pissed off, and he was talking about, he's like, who is in an alliance? You guys were talking to each other first, and you started working. Mm-hmm. He's like, that was you choosing a side, like, and he was throwing it out there, and they're like, we were just trying to accomplish the mission. Like, the girls were just like, well, it's not really what was going on. Like, we weren't choosing a side. It was just the way it worked out.
Yeah.
And like Nelson was trying to force blame on, like, no, that's forcing an alliance or making one. So you did the first thing. Now you secluded yourself.
And this is kind of like an old school challenge where even the very word, the pronunciation of the word alliance was a no. You get yelled at. You are spurned from the rest of the society. That's what's happening right now. That's what's kind of cool about having all these challengers, all these chumps, all these underdogs.
Yeah.
They're forming this little society, and you get to see the little tropes built in within them. Who's filling in what role? And already this alliance is being formed, and they're just like, how dare you? You know?
Yeah. But it's kind of ridiculous because it's like, you need to join a side and get with it. If it comes down to voting, you need to be with the largest group. So those certain members of the cast were like, oh, I don't want to pick a side, or I don't want to choose an alliance. Like, no, I'm not in an alliance. I'm like, no, you're at a disadvantage. Just, you need to make your alliance, make it as big as possible, and join the right side. Like, don't pick no side and stand in the middle.
Right.
Choose up with a good side.
Yeah.
But some of them are too afraid to do it. But so then by the time they are in alliance like Sylvia, it's lacking in numbers.
Meanwhile, Corey comforts Kayla. Right?
Yeah, they were talking a lot.
And already it's like, I officially, was it called on Twilight? I imprinted on Kayla. I was like,
what does that mean? I've never watched Twilight. Wow, fill me in, Vince. A Twilight fan here.
No, I mean, it was... no, all I'm saying is that I like Kayla, and like usually I pick one female chick where I'm like, that's mine. You know,
who was that last year? Was it Kellyanne?
It wasn't Jessica, but usually it's Jessica. What was it last year? I don't remember. But either way, right? This episode was Kayla for me. I'm like, oh my god, I love Kayla. And then Corey starts hitting on her. I'm like, god damn it! Tony was hitting on Jessica, and I imprinted on her as well.
Imprinted. So how does it work when you imprint on someone?
I don't know. It's very perverted.
Is it taking ownership over them?
I don't know.
By biting their neck?
Apparently, Jacob wanted to fuck a baby.
What? Is that what happens in the movie?
Yeah. Jacob loves Bella. Bella doesn't love Jacob. She loves Edward. Edward gives Bella a baby. She has the baby. Jacob sees her. He's like, I imprinted on her. We will one day be together.
So the fact that he impregnated her made him imprinting her?
No. He said, he looked at her and said, I know, no matter what, we will be together. And, yeah. That's what people do, I guess.
Wow.
So, I mean, and according to the story and in the universe, Jacob will fuck Bella's daughter when it's legal, when it's the right time, when they're both consenting adults.
Isn't he like 400 years old?
No,
the chick is like 18.
Young werewolf. Oh, you're thinking about the vampire woman. How much longer are we going to talk about Twilight? Jesus Christ.
You brought it up.
No, I mean, what I'm saying is I was very upset because Corey was hitting on my girl Kayla. You know, I was like, no, get away with her. I mean, get away from her. He ended up getting away with her instead, off camera. You heard that, right?
What? No.
Yeah, they were making out. They weren't. I don't think they banged at all. She's too classy.
But they didn't show that?
No, they just. You didn't see that part where it was just showing their audio. They were just like, what'd she say to him? She was like, "We should have done it in the hotel or whatever." But now it's too late. No, that's what he said. Maybe, I don't know. But she's like, "Yeah, you missed out." And he's like, what if we go in those trees there? And she's like, no way, man.
Well, I saw that, but I didn't see like them actually kissing there. I thought it was just like, hey, let's go do something.
You didn't hear the smooching noises or whatever?
I must have been zoned out.
It will haunt my days.
Oh, you poor thing, Vince.
Yeah.
You lost Kayla to Corey. But you know what? Corey is on a revenge mission because the last time he hooked up in the challenge, it was with Anissa. And last year, he was all about trying to get with Cheyenne.
Yeah.
And Cheyenne wouldn't give him anything. So, like, Corey is really just, like, one mission only on his mind. And that is to redeem himself from hooking up with Anissa. Like, he wants to get with someone else. And he found Kayla.
No.
And Kayla seems to be a willing participant. So, I think Corey's finally going to, break a streak. Get a new...
if it had to be anyone, I guess I'm alright that it's Corey and not, like, Tony or some shit.
What if it was Dario?
I guess. That'd be fine. Yeah.
Because Dario was with Kellyanne last year.
I feel like I stack up against Dario way better, so if I ever run into Kayla, and she's, like, looking between me and Dario... Come on.
No choice. It's an obvious one.
Anyways, fucking up. Okay, but Jen is brought up. Kayla's like, yeah, Jenna's my friend, and Corey's like, yeah, a lot of people don't like Jenna. And Kayla says, well, it's because Jenna's the most realist chick here.
Yeah, she's not fake.
Well, she can't be fake. She is. Jenna is just
she's
present.
That's why I like her. She's just what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
That's
she's
why she's
incapable
cool.
of being anything else because, thought.
She's plenty
growing
smart.
as a person.
She's a great competitor. She's always way more efficient at completing tasks than other girls are. You can say she's not smart, but when she's doing a mission, she's always doing the smart thing.
Yeah,
maybe she doesn't always articulate it that great.
I know
she's a ditzy girl, but
I know how rare it is to meet an athlete that's not that smart.
It happens. But, I mean, I wouldn't say that Bananas is really that much smarter than her. Well, I mean, yeah. But, I think Jenna's plenty smart. I felt like she seemed out of place there. Because all the other girls were like these young little drama queens.
Right, yeah.
Jenna was mature. She seemed like Laurel or something, like a vet who was just there like, yeah, she seemed like a star amongst a bunch of people who were lower than her.
You've mentioned that. I think it's because she's been in the final every time.
Yeah, and it's surprising that she's there because, like, in my mind, she's a champ. She always gets to the final. She goes into elimination.
It's like seeing Brad on the Challengers team on the Ruins, where you're like, no, you're a champ, dude, because you at least got to the final like 3 or 4 times. You just feel like they should be a champion, but no, Jenna's not a champion. But she is in the mix, but on the wrong side, apparently. She's on Team Tony, or Team Skeletons, or whatever the fuck, So, we get into the nomination. TJ shows up, and he's like, alright, now, this is how it's going to go down. Bruno and Marie are up for elimination, and Dario, Nicole, it doesn't really matter that you won. You still get a say, but you don't have any executive order, or... executive decision, any kind of whatever.
She doesn't have that kind of power to vote anyone in. It was all up to the people politicking between themselves, which side they're on.
Divided by sex, though.
Yeah,
that was
kind of a twist. Yeah, we didn't see that coming.
But I also felt like
they've done it before.
Yeah, with Rivals too.
Yeah, it didn't seem completely necessary though.
No, you're just like, I guess we'll have.
Now you're just doing guys versus girls and trying to make an artificial divide where one doesn't need to be. Like, you already are going to have a couple alliances. You don't need to make it guys versus girls. But a product of that, as Ashley likes to say, is some politicking.
Because, like, what's politicking?
Yeah, it's playing a political game with your...
vagina.
Your vagina. And I'm like, okay, Ashley, I mean, I guess you're introducing this, but are you the inventor of it? Because last year... Ashley hooked up with a couple people, and it was, trying to be friends with people, it seemed like. She was a good competitor as well, but she got some alliances out of it, at least for a little while.
Yeah, politicking. It means to work the polls, right?
Yeah. And smash Ashley.
Yeah, she's
game.
She's like, look at your balls. I want to turn them from a blue state to a red state.
Oh, wow. Getting political again. That was great. I love it.
All right, so now it's really weird, but guys vote for the girls. First we'll go for the girls. Nicole votes Theo. followed by Kayla, Jenna. All three of these chicks vote Theo.
I know, and I'm thinking like, whoa, Theo might be going home.
That's skeleton right there. That's all skeleton votes.
And they did those all in a row on purpose. Seemed like.
Next comes Ashley something. I'm guessing Smashley. Yeah, that was Smashley. She votes in Tony, who she hooked up with.
Yeah.
Remember that?
And she's selling them out. She's like, I've moved on.
Yeah.
That politicking maneuver is over, and it didn't work out that well.
Oh, man.
Tony got eliminated soon after.
Yeah.
At least Jess didn't give in.
Next is Anika. Or Annika.
Yep. Anika.
Votes in Tony as well, followed by Amanda. She votes in for Tony. That's not a big surprise because Amanda and Tony got in an argument in Rivals 3 before, but I don't remember anything specific why Amanda or anyone would be voting in for Tony necessarily. That's kind of shocking to me.
I think people were looking at him as just like a threat. Like, he's really good. And
a guy
he's
threat?
Well, yeah, he's a threat, and he's also a guy who gets into fights and stuff. And like, it's almost like you can't trust him.
So. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. This is because this is Team Nelson voting in Tony, which is basically just getting rid of the Team Skeleton. You know, so yeah, this is where the divide is. It's basically Nelson and Tony camp. I think that's pretty sweet. So right now it's all Team Nelson: Ashley, Anika, Amanda, all throw in Tony. Then it comes down to Sylvia, which is part of Team Skeletons. She wasn't part of that little group of people that try to separate, be some separatist or whatever. Is that the proper political term?
Was being, trying to emancipate themselves.
Yeah? All right. However, Nelson already spoke to her and said what he said, and now it's coming down to this. But I'm like, the title of this episode is called Skeletal Fracture. She has to vote in Tony, and she does. She votes in Tony. And then finally it's LaToya's turn, and she says Tony as well. So, it's all of this.
They did that, and then there was that big build-up before Sylvia, revealed who she was voting for.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I thought it was a bad vote, because I'm like, I would pick to be on Tony's side, not against him. It just doesn't make sense.
Really? I mean, the numbers, though. That skeletal crew is
only... I feel like... that you're in this shelter, you're just here for a small time.
Yeah.
So once you move on, that's the real game when that begins. So I'm like, it's not just about this. These alliances you're building now, this is just for the very short term. So you could go with a strong player, but she chose not to. Just because sometimes when you cross a big level player, they're going to win another challenge and you're never going to get a chance, and they're going to end up trying to push you out.
But you also have to consider that it's the only males on her alliance is Tony and Bruno. Bruno's already going in.
Yeah.
So whoever's left, it's going to be Tony or Bruno have to beat all the other dudes. Dario, Hunter, Shane, Nelson, Anthony, all these fucking people.
Yeah, those are odds that you can't really come back from.
Yeah, so to me, it made sense.
It's understandable.
It was supposed to happen. Again, the title fucking told me so anyways, so...
I didn't notice from the title. When it said
really?
Skeletal Fracture, I never thought of Skeletons Real World.
Oh, really?
Never crossed my mind. I thought it would have something to do with the mission, or...
You thought, someone was going to break their arm or some shit?
No, I thought they were going to get hit in the head.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Skeletal Fracture?
Yeah.
No, but it's Skeletal Fracture.
Yeah, but when you see the skeleton, you always think of the skull.
Yeah.
And there's a fracture. It's going to be...
Hey, this man operates the x-rays, so he should know, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
We see some fractures in this line of work.
All right, so now it's official. Tony is going to go against Bruno. Already, I'm like, holy shit. When do we ever fucking see Tony in elimination? Never. That's how much. This is going to be his first one. That's great. All right, and then the guys, it's their turn to vote in for the girls. And again, this is... What is this? Dario, Hunter, Shane. They all vote Kayla. Kayla, of course, was part of that 5 little Team Skeleton portion,
Yep.
She helped build that little bitty mound with them. And then Tony, he's like, Sylvia, because she just voted me in, I've known her for 2 years. We walked into the real world together. Is that big of a bonding experience, I guess, right?
I guess he thought they were.
It should be,
friends.
according to him. Yeah. But then followed by everyone else. Anthony. Is there an Anthony here? Why don't I have that written down? Who's Anthony?
Anthony's that one guy. I mean, he's
There's an
there. He
Anthony?
doesn't really do anything special.
No, he hooks up with what's her name?
Tries to.
Marie, right? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
tries to, wants to, or whatever.
And
And then Nelson, Theo, and Corey. Everything else is unanimously. Everything else is by landslide. Kayla.
Yep.
Now, at first, I was like, "Oh, okay." Kayla is a threat to the females. She's like, "I'm the best here," and the females are like, "Oh, we hate her because she like walks around like she's the queen of the jungle or whatever." But
yeah, Latoya calls her a camera whore.
yeah, I can't.
And it seemed like they didn't like her because she was just walking around in her bikini, showing off her butt.
Yeah, that's right.
And then she's flirting with Corey, and they're just like, "Screw this chick." Like that gave them enough of a reason to have a beef with her.
Now, yeah, but I bring this up. The guys are the ones that voted her in. Was it the girls that just said, "Hey, this is who we're voting in"?
No, it seemed like the guys were like, "Oh yeah,
They
we're
didn't
gonna
like
get
her either.
Well, they didn't like her because they're like, "Oh, she's choosing Corey over us. We're not gonna like her because she's already chose someone over me."
I would vote like that too, I'm sure. So petty. But like Corey, he's the very last person to vote, and he's like, Kayla.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, you done fucked up.
I thought he blew his chances, and I think he might have. By doing this.
No, Kayla says, I get it. That's what she says. She's like, I understand that you don't want to like form an alliance that's not going to go on, well, whatever. But she's fine with it, which means it's golden for Corey. Corey's still going to get something out of it.
She's rolling out the red carpet, the brown carpet, or whatever.
The velvet ropes.
Yeah, she seems like a totally willing participant, and Corey's a little like, I'm going to flirt with you, and we're going to talk about how hot you are and how all the other guys think you're hot. Like, they would have those conversations on the beach. And Corey's just flirting up a storm with her.
So, yeah. Oh, and then TJ announces whoever wins these elimination rounds, they will also get a spot in the Oasis. So now...
Suddenly
Kayla,
it wasn't so bad to get there because like, hey, I can move up.
Yeah, Kayla was just like, yeah, bitches, all I gotta do is beat Marie, who gives a fuck Marie over there. All I gotta do is beat her, and I've punched my card in, and I'll have immunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now...
And suddenly we saw a very confident side to her.
Oh, yeah.
Because before she was just like this, I don't know, just an unassuming girl who would kind of just seem like she has no confidence, really. Suddenly she's like, let the tiger out of the cage, and she's like, yeah, I'm going to go in and I'm going to take care of her. Like, you guys are going to be mad that I went in there and did this. And I was excited about it. I was like, oh, okay. She seems legit.
Yeah, it's interesting because now it paints it differently. It means all you got to do is go into this one elimination round, and then you're golden. You get to sit back for the next couple days.
Yeah.
You know? It's a weird...
Even though you should probably move on immediately, you will be held back.
Yeah, exactly. It's really weird. Okay, so the rest of the episode, what happens? Nicole yells at Sylvia for voting in Tony.
Yeah. It was a big argument. Nicole's just yelling and screaming. It seemed like Sylvia was getting the more intelligent side of the argument.
Especially when it comes to Nicole, when she responds to Sylvia, she just mocks her like, I'm like, clearly you're losing this argument. If you just have to mock what they say like a child, you're a policewoman.
Yeah, she's a policewoman. She immediately takes it to level 10 in this argument, and it's like, chill out. Why are you so upset? You're a cop. You should be able to keep your cool. You can't be a hothead like this.
No.
But she did not seem to show any restraint.
No.
At all.
Yeah.
You gotta have some kind of discretion where you're like, okay, I need to act like a professional. She acts completely unprofessional even though she's a cop.
Maybe she leaves it at the office. That's the one positive that she got from her girlfriend, where the girlfriend would be like, hey, in there, not in here.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
They have troubles. They're always bossing each other around.
Okay, so now, real quick, I mean, this is kind of irrelevant in a way, but it's Nelson, Corey, and Theo, and they're sitting around and they're talking about bananas and CT. You know, I think it's Nelson who's saying, like, you know what? It's kind of cool that we're all here, but I kind of wish that I could be going up against the big dogs, you know? Like, all three of them are kind of saying that. They're all just kind of talking about, you know, Bananas and CT, where they're like, yeah, but CT would be like a huge beast to go against. But they're all three of these guys know that they're on the show, feel like they are now the main stars, you know? It's time for them to build up the show, but they're also saying, like, God damn it, if fucking Bananas was here and I could go against him, that'd be awesome. If I could try and beat CT, that'd be great, you know? And then so we start cutting again to more champ footage, and
well, yeah, I thought it was like Theo, Nelson, and Corey are talking about how much they respect Bananas and how good of a game he has.
Right.
And that was just interesting because it was like, okay, all these guys were friends are just, oh yeah, remember this awesome guy? Don't you want to see him? And then it was like, don't remember?
Do you think? Wait. Are you trying to say
Bananas? I remember.
Are you saying that this was contrived, as if the producer's like, hey, start talking about champions?
Talk about the old people, and then it was this perfect segue into finally we get to see the champs. Because I was getting bored of this episode so far, because I'm like, there's not a lot of star power. It's just all these people bickering about their alliances. We're not seeing like anything that's really that eventful happen. Their first night when Tony does the toast, like he drinks orange juice, he says, an entire night, nobody really seemed to get drunk. It seemed like all these people were just like on a pitch count where they're like, okay, 4 drink minimum, you can't go past it or something like that. Because nobody really got that wasted. Is this like a response to like the Tony Camilla thing? Because they seem to cut back their alcohol consumption last year. And this year, it didn't really seem like it was just all these petty arguments about alliances, not really a lot of like blown up fights that are completely irrational. So that was different.
Yeah, but I'm kind of cool with that, you know?
Yeah.
See what we're witnessing is the lack of Camilla. Yeah. And to me, I'm fine with that. And we're also seeing the lack of... We're also seeing the lack... No, we're talking about champions here. We're also seeing the lack of Bananas. Where, like, he didn't do the toast. It was like, here's a fucking toast that I read about or see someone do in a movie before, and here we go. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, listen, I like the fact that Tony did the toast. And I like the fact that Nelson is basically the chief of this fucking group of individuals. You know, like, people will naturally form these positions. That's what I fucking liked. At first, I was kind of getting bored as well. But the footage of the champions where they said, like, hey, this is me, this is what I do, it didn't really give me anything new. You know, Cara Maria was like, yeah, well, I won, but, you know, Abram and I, we're in a good spot, but we're also I'm single now and shit. The only person that really kind of stuck with me was CT, where he's like, hey, I got a little baby here.
Yeah, that was out of nowhere. They shocked me. I thought he was going to cut down and be like, yep, I'm the papa of a dog. Or something. Like, I didn't know he had a kid.
Like LaToya did about her dog, where she's like, I am a single mother, living on my own. AKA, I bought a dog.
I spent all my time with my puppy. And it's like, oh, you're not a mom, alright? Real moms are out there that are offended because they have an actual child to rear, not a dog.
That was a nice, clever switch and bait. Like, she was playing on the fact that some asshole named Dave was gonna say, like, of course, a black woman who's fucking single and alone. I'm joking.
It's nothing to do with that. It's just the annoying people with their dogs and how they're like, right. He's part of my family. He's my dog. And it's like, no, he's your
from
dog.
A totally different demographic or whatever.
I don't know. I'm a cat person. I'm not a dog person. I've never wanted a dog.
All right.
They're too needy. They're just always like, they make you feel guilty if you don't spend every minute of every day with them. And I get that they're loving, but cats can at least, you know, be on their own.
Yeah, they don't need you, really.
Yeah. Cat. You could leave for a 3-day weekend and they'd be fine. Just leave enough food for them. Dogs, they freak out.
Dogs are like new girlfriends, and cats are like old girlfriends. Yeah. Where she's like,
I want a cat.
Care. Like, yeah, I've seen that.
Is it weird that I want a cat, not a dog?
You want a girlfriend that just really does not, that takes you for granted, is kind of bored of your ass.
Yeah, like, until I pull out that laser beam, she's totally going to be into it. And be like, you're not going to catch it.
What does that mean? You take out your laser beam, huh?
Yeah.
And she's totally into it?
Yeah.
All right. Hands up against the wall.
Wow. I was thinking her pouncing around the carpet, get some rug burn, but that works too.
All right. Well, okay. Finally, we're into the elimination. And it has no name. TJ doesn't say, this is the pit. This is the dome. This is the jungle. You know, there's no name for it. Which is kind of upsetting.
I'm okay because they would end up switching it once they get to the real house and the real season. Once we get to that portion of the season where we see the actual house they're going to be living in, then that'll have a name. But why give a first name and then a new name? It might be confusing.
I think on Wikipedia it says Temple Games, the Temple or something. But I'm
it's like the
why
Nickelodeon
though?
show.
What? Yeah, Hidden Temple.
Hidden Temple. That was awesome.
Yeah, no, that was pretty sweet. But what we got was actually I kind of enjoyed it. It's called In the Trenches. It's very reminiscent to me to Broken Skull Challenge, Steve Austin's, where they just like bang into each other. Although this time they have to take sandbags and make sure that they have to keep on going, passing each other, bumping into each other, grabbing each other's sandbags, other's sandbags,
and put them on one side, which is their side.
Yeah. At first, that wasn't explained very clearly to me until eventually I started like near the end. I'm like, oh, is that why she won? Oh, she has all the bags there. Okay,
I thought they just had 5 for their side, and then once you got yours over, then you were done. Yeah. It was like, oh, you have to get yours over, and then you have to get the other person's over too.
Yeah, this is that's how TJ's hosting skills are. Like, he leaves some blanks. It's like fill in the blank, that sort of thing.
But I think we glossed over something here.
Okay.
Before they go to this this elimination round here, they get plucked from the shelter, and they're the only people who are getting to go.
Yeah.
This is like fresh meat, where you don't get to see the elimination round. They go off, and only 2 people are coming back, or like one team is coming back, and you don't get to know exactly what happened, which I think is interesting, and I like it. It's always something that I thought added to those seasons of fresh meat.
Well, first, there's 2 points here. One point is that we always said sometimes people interfere with the elimination by saying, like, do this and do that, or they could totally throw you off by saying, do this wrong thing, do that wrong thing.
And we saw it last year when it was Kellyanne and Jamie versus Wes and Nani.
Yeah.
When they're doing the soccer thing and they need to listen for instructions, Wes could not hear a damn thing that Nani said because everyone is yelling and screaming.
Right. And point B is that unlike Fresh Meat, remember the cool thing about Fresh Meat was that they would start the elimination and they're almost to the end and they just cut it off, and then it cuts to the people in the house and they show the van come up and they're like, who's going to come out? Like, we don't know, they don't know. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Not
it was
this
a good
time.
setup.
Not this time. We already know that Tony and Kayla win. So was no... Yeah, because there was no reveal. Like, the audience wasn't just... I mean, the people were like, who's coming down the beach? We already knew. So, it's like Fresh Meat.
We the viewer, but they didn't know.
Yeah, but no, what I was saying is, like, the cool thing about Fresh Meat was that we didn't know who won either until they jumped out of the van. This time, we already know who's walking down the beach. They're taking away that little surprise that even we got to enjoy with the challengers. No?
I feel like it's still a similar thing. I don't know. I'm just not really buying it that I would be upset over that. Like, that little reveal was kind of annoying in some ways because it was like...
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I just want to watch the mission and see what happens.
All right. Fair enough.
I don't know.
Was it like 10 to 15 pound weights? These big... They almost look like pillowcases full of sand.
Yeah, they have like handles on them.
Yeah.
They're like half the size of a pillowcase.
But
they seem like they're filled with sand or rocks or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're running back and forth, and they're trying to get theirs on their side, and then each time they would meet in the middle, they would just smash into each other really hard.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, like, why are you smashing into each other? You need to just make this a foot race. You need to evade, go around, and just do this as quick as possible.
Well, the girls did that more than the guys. The guys hit each other every single time,
it was
which
brutal.
I started to appreciate. I was like, that's the
closest
closest thing to UFC.
Strategy.
Closest thing to the UFC, or more NFL, I guess.
Yeah.
No, let's start with the girls. Real quick, Kayla versus Marie, them going in. all of a sudden Kayla's like, yeah, I used to play football.
Yeah.
And then she's like, yeah, I'm super cocky all of a sudden, and apparently all the females hate me because of whatever. And I'm like, I didn't get that at all. All I saw was that you getting hit on by Corey. That's all I saw. Exactly. But all of a sudden, you are like the number one pick, and she just bulldozed over Marie. Marie, who you said was like, I don't know, she doesn't...
From the beginning, I didn't really like her personality. Yeah. I thought she was annoying. There was nothing about her that, like, oh, I want to see more of her. So the fact that she was getting sent home, I was like, good, be gone with her. I'm like, I didn't feel like she was going to bring anything to the season. You
didn't believe in Anthony and hers romance? You didn't think
I don't care. They're two nobodies.
You don't want to tune in for that? No?
No. That's nothing that's even mildly entertaining. Like, Corey, him... like trying to avenge the Anissa thing, like that's more entertaining.
All right. Oh yeah. Well, Kayla does win.
Yeah.
I'm really, all of a sudden, my interest peaked. I mean, at first she was just really hot, but at the end of this episode, I'm like, holy shit! Apparently, she's really fucking tough, and I cannot wait until she go against Nicole or any of the other female champs. You know, I feel like those are going to be some sweet fucking eliminations if it comes down to it.
There possibly could be, but I feel like a win over Maria is not the most impressive win ever. She did get really physical with it, which was good. She's shown that she's a good competitor, like, and she's willing to do the dirty work part of that stuff, where she was really aggressive and she wasn't afraid to hurt herself or try and hurt the other person. Yeah. Like, seeing that kind of tenacity. Like, I'm not sure that Maria was the strongest opponent, but she did perform well.
Yeah.
Kyla?
I don't know.
Kayla, yeah.
Next is Tony versus Bruno. And this is where they hit each other every single time. And there's some really good hits between the two of them. Like, the very first hit was just like they both threw each other back and up against the wall with that first hit. It was really impressive. And they would just continue doing this the entire time.
It seemed like Tony seemed to be getting the better of some of them.
Yeah.
And he was messing up Bruno, and it was like, whoa, Bruno's going to get hurt.
Totally, but I just appreciated both of them game to hit each other every single time. And they know each other, you know? They're friends, but yet they're still going to put on a great show. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes I feel like you're not just performing, but you're also, you have to be aware that the cameras, you know, you have to be aware that this is going to be viewed by literally
this is
hundreds.
A fight. We have to give it 100%.
Hundreds of viewers,
Hundreds. Maybe thousands.
But eventually Tony does win. Bruno and Marie have to leave. Bruno has to go back to his car.
Yeah, Bruno kind of got dominated, it seemed
if he could find it in the parking lot. You know?
Yeah, and you know what? Normally when you lose an elimination, you get sent home. But for Bruno, he doesn't necessarily have a home. He just goes to his Jeep.
Yeah, this is
the shelter he was in was the best home he's probably had in a while.
He even said that. He's like, I don't mind this shit.
Yeah. He's used to having no electricity.
Oh, man. All right, so they're both gone. And, I don't know, overall, it's like I liked seeing the new shit, showing the champions little bits of footage for the champions. Didn't really do too much for me because, like, what did it really add? You know, it just showed them working out and stuff. I'm like,
it made me want to see those people more because I thought that'd be more interesting.
Really?
I felt like this entire episode, there was not like a whole lot of stars that I was like, yes, I'm glad this person's getting screen time. A lot of the time it was just like Nicole yelling at someone, Sylvia yelling at someone about their like vote and just how they're annoyed at each other. A lot of that part of the episode just seemed to drag on. And I'm like, I feel like you could be showing the challengers and their introductions. You could have put that stuff in them going into the Oasis.
Right.
I mean, you could have spliced that in that second episode so we get to meet them. Like, the first episode's all about the challengers. Second episode, you're going to still show the challengers, but now you're going to introduce the champs. And they didn't do that. They just did, like, the little video clips. But give me more than that. Give me them moving into their house and interacting with each other just a little bit and being like, hey, what's up? You know, just like Bananas and Zach have an encounter or whatever for 45 seconds.
Yeah.
And then they're there at the house. And then
So you didn't like the fact that part 1 didn't lead to, like, getting into the house and stuff. The overall format decision of this season so far, I was like, oh, that sucks. It was a huge letdown for Dario and Nicole not to go to the Oasis immediately. And it was a bummer for me as well. I was like, what the fuck?
We never get to see it.
Yeah. So, like, you won, but you won immunity. It's not the same thing.
But I feel like the producers put those challengers in the shelter. Well, they also just put us viewers in the shelter as well. Like, we never got to see anything good. Like, we're the audience. Like, come on, give us something good that we want to see. Put us in the Oasis. But no, they just left us in the shelter with the rest of the challengers. All
right. Well, overall, I enjoyed it in peaks and valleys almost. Sometimes I'm like, oh, God, I don't like this. And yes, okay, this is essential. To me, overall, I had to think back to Battle of the Seasons. You liked it?
Yeah.
And then I was like thinking about it. I'm like, well, this is probably how it was for Dave, where it's like
lots of new people.
Yeah. Forming their own opinions in their own society. And that's when I started to appreciate it. So, it doesn't really matter because in about 2 more episodes, that's when the champions come in and shit. And now we're going to be privy to the whole bananas shtick and the CT shtick and Cara and Laurel, all that sort of stuff.
But I'd rather see those champs. I feel like, and I want to see the challengers go against the champs. But it's weird that they're just segmenting it off like this.
Yeah.
Because normally, like, I've never really had a big problem with Are You the One people. They don't always play the game the smartest. But, like, okay, I'm good. Like, bring in new people. Have them be exciting, though. Mm. And these people, they weren't really exciting again. But we didn't have anything to offset that. There was no champs there. And that just really hurt the episode. Because everything that was promoted to me, I thought they were all going to be there. Mm. Like, I didn't expect to watch 2 hours of the challenge and not really get to see the competitors.
Turns out it was just an overinflated first episode.
Yeah.
Like
it took 2 hours, but it was, I don't know, it seemed like it dragged on where it could have been filled with more stuff from other people who are also going to be on this season, but we just had to wait as the viewer. It's like, don't worry, it'll get better.
Finally, I feel like the production, considering how this 2 episodes are really just 1 episode, and like we're never even told the title, at least to the participants, or the money, or like, there's a lot of unanswered questions. I feel like the challenge is just playing to its own fan base. Not really looking to receive more viewers to welcome them in, because new viewers would be like, what the fuck is this? Like, where are they living in? That looks horrible. Like, the shelter really did look bad.
Yeah.
It really did.
And it was on purpose, though. It was supposed to be really hard.
Yeah, but but again, it wasn't... If you want to sell thing in marketing,
you need to have the contrast.
Sex sells. Yeah. There was nothing sexy about that goddamn shelter.
No,
nothing.
It wasn't. They needed that contrast of showing the nice, cushy place where it's like, yeah, this is where you're going to move on to. And you just got waterfalls and rocks and like, oh, look at these fancy sinks. There's a bidet. Like you get cool pools and like all this cool stuff. And you'd be like, that's where you want to live. That would have offset just the shelter. But we just see this little tin hut that is worse than anything we've really seen on the challenge. It's worse than the island.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
They didn't seem overly annoyed by it, but it was just their first night. I think maybe as they go on, another couple nights, they'll really start to miss like the normalcy. Having to, shower in the ocean every night, it's going to get old. It's kind of a novelty for the first night, but then after that, you start living in that, and you're like, ugh, I don't like it. Ask Bruno about it. First couple nights living in your Jeep, that's not too bad. Then you're on the 3rd week, you're like, oh, jeez.
Well, it helps to have liquor in there. They have a lot of liquor there.
Yes.
All right, well, that's the end of the episode. Like, subscribe, comment. This is Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud
and David Lauer.